Imagine standing on an island so small, yet so important, that the fate of an entire war depends on it. Imagine the sky burning, the ground shaking, and the ocean vomiting steel. This was not just a battle. This was the moment the world stared into the abyss and did not look away. In the spring of 1945, on a quiet chain of islands south of Japan, humanity descended into one of the bloodiest and most brutal battles in modern history. A battle where soldiers drowned in mud, civilians were trapped between empires, and the line between life and death vanished beneath relentless artillery fire. This was the Battle of Okinawa, and this was the last great slaughter of World War II. By early 1945, Nazi Germany was collapsing in Europe. But in the Pacific, Imperial Japan was still fighting with fanatical determination. And the United States faced a terrifying reality. To end the war, they would have to invade the Japanese homeland itself. Okinawa, just 350 miles from mainland Japan, stood directly in the path. To American planners, Okinawa was a stepping stone, a base for airfields, a launch pad for invasion. To Japan, Okinawa was a shield, the final barrier protecting the homeland. Both sides understood the truth. Whoever controlled Okinawa would shape the end of the war, and neither side intended to surrender it easily. On April 1st, 1945, Easter Sunday, Operation Iceberg began. The largest amphibious assault of the Pacific War surged toward Okinawa's beaches. More than 1,300 Allied ships filled the horizon. Nearly 200,000 American troops prepared to land. Battleships unleashed thunder. Bombers darkened the skies. The sea churned with landing craft. But something was wrong. There was no resistance, no gunfire, no screaming, no beach defense. The Japanese had not met the Americans at the shore. They were waiting. Japanese commanders, led by General Mitsuru Ushijima, had learned from previous defeats. Instead of suicidal beach defenses, they dug deep into Okinawa's southern ridges, creating a vast underground fortress, tunnels, caves, hidden artillery positions. Their goal was not to win outright. Their goal was to bleed the Americans dry. Every hill would be contested. Every ridge would become a graveyard. Every advance would cost blood. The Americans would soon learn that Okinawa was not an island. It was a trap. When U.S. forces pushed south, the real battle erupted. Rain turned the ground into thick, sucking mud. Men slipped, crawled, and then drowned in shell craters filled with water and blood. Japanese soldiers emerged silently from tunnels, struck, and vanished again. Flamethrowers were used to clear caves, often with enemies screaming inside. Grenades bounced off rock walls, exploding inches from human bodies. The ridges had names that would haunt survivors forever. The Kakazu Ridge, Sugarloaf Hill, Shuri Castle. Each became a symbol of relentless slaughter. Progress was measured not in miles, but in yards. While the land battle raged, a new terror filled the skies. Japan unleashed its most desperate weapon, kamikaze pilots. Young men, many barely trained, were sent aloft with one mission: crash their planes into American ships. Wave after wave descended. Explosions ripped through flight decks. Ships burned uncontrollably. Sailors jumped into flaming seas. More than 1,500 kamikaze attacks struck Allied forces during the Okinawa campaign. It was the largest suicide air assault in history. The ocean around Okinawa became a graveyard of twisted metal and shattered hulls. Perhaps the darkest tragedy of Okinawa was not just the soldiers, but the civilians. More than 100,000 Okinawan civilians were trapped on the island. Japanese propaganda warned them, "If the Americans capture you, they will torture you." Families hid in caves alongside soldiers. Food ran out. Disease spread. Some civilians were forced to commit suicide rather than surrender. Others were caught in crossfire with nowhere to flee. By the end of the battle, 1/3 of Okinawa's civilian population was dead. This was not just a military conflict. It was the destruction of an entire society. By late May 1945, American forces closed in on Shuri Castle, the heart of Japanese defenses. The castle, once a symbol of Okinawan culture, was reduced to rubble by relentless bombardment. Japanese resistance collapsed into scattered, desperate pockets. General Ushijima refused surrender. On June 22, 1945, he committed ritual suicide. The Battle of Okinawa was over. The cost was staggering. Over 12,000 Americans killed, over 100,000 Japanese soldiers dead, tens of thousands of civilians lost. Okinawa shocked American leadership. If one island cost this much blood, what would an invasion of Japan itself demand? The answer would soon arrive, in the form of atomic fire. Okinawa was the final warning, a battle so violent, so unforgiving, that it helped shape the most controversial decision in human history. And even today, the island remembers. Now, because Okinawa was not just a battle, it was the moment the world realized war had gone too far.